So yeah, next topic, we shall be talking about Balenciaga because Balenciaga, of course, has tried to, well, not tried to, but successfully brought back the city bag. And the city bag on social media and just in fashion discourse right now, fashion news wise, is absolutely exploding in fashion. So I really wanted to talk about kind of the history of the bag, also how Balenciaga is kind of doing this kind of rollout of how they're bringing it back, and then also why it makes sense for them to bring it back, why people are so obsessed with the bag, you know, all those kind of things. So actually, I think if we go to the history first before I show you guys this article, there's a really good article via CR Fashion Book on the history of the city bag, but it's something I've talked about before because I've made videos about Nicolas Gasquier before at Louis Vuitton and at Balenciaga. When you think of like brands bringing bags back, it's not a new concept. I mean, we've seen so many designers do it. A big example is let's say what Maria Gaccia-Turi is doing with John Galliano at Dior with the saddlebag. So she's kind of like brought back the saddlebags. Everyone's obsessed. She's kind of changed the saddlebags and kind of had different iterations that didn't exist before. But this is definitely like a thing that has been happening for
Yeah.
um a really long time. I do think though that them kind of having like a strong push with trying to bring the bags back makes a lot of sense because if I think of the aesthetic of the bags, it works in the world of Demna. Like it works in the sense that like Demna is very much kind of like it has this gothic vibe, this kind of like gothic but for rich people vibe, kind of like gothic but I have $1 million in my bank account vibe. Um, and a bag that's unstructured but kind of looks worn in and kind of looks used and kind of is a bit rugged. I think that that bag always, works in the world of Demna and kind of like his aesthetic, aristocratic goth, someone is saying in the chat.
That's so
Oh my
funny.
god, that's so funny.
Yeah, and like if you think about it, like one thing that's cool is that even Kim Jones with the Dior saddlebag, he made it menswear. Very like it's literally the same pattern, but it's he put it in menswear and then suddenly men were wearing the saddlebag. So like, yeah,
Yeah,
we can renew a bag and yeah, like within the lexicon of Demna, like it should run. And one thing I know, like just being on street level and everything like that, there are people outside who do like Balenciaga, still like the designs, like, but Balenciaga is not the most favorable right now.
mhm.
So what's a way to get them popping again with like the least amount of effort that people
Do
already
you do you
have?
think that matters though? Like, I
What do you mean?
genuinely think, and I made I think I did a stream not too long ago where I was saying, has Balenciaga basically have people forgotten about the Balenciaga scandal? I think people have because it almost seemed like not too long after it was, work as usual. It's just like back to the normal, regularly scheduled program for
Partially,
Balenciaga.
like I do think it matters because I have seen videos of influencers, right? They're like, "Oh, well, you wearing because influencers always do that thing," but and even on live streams as well, and they were
Yeah.
like, "This is Balenci," but then there will be people in the room like, "Isn't Balenciaga cancelled?"
Hmm.
And influencers they like to be liked, so who knows? They could dash away the Balenciaga if they're not like strong-willed like that. So it partially matters depending on what type of influencers we have. But if there's people that like the clothes regardless, and
Yeah.
then there's it bag and Balenciaga is generally back in favor, and people aren't going every other time they hear Balenciaga, oh, aren't they cancelled? Then
Yeah.
it can help. It can help with just the image reparations, really.
Wait, Human You says every time I hear people say Balenciaga, people mention that. Okay, that's interesting because I just think that Balenciaga is almost running and being successful with in spite of it. Like people don't care. Because when I say people don't care, I mean in a sense I remember when the scandal first happened, people were like considering whether they should even wear Balenciaga publicly. I don't think we're at that point anymore. Um, I don't think it's like people feel ashamed to wear Balenciaga in the public. Do you feel like it's definitely gotten to that point? Also, to the contention, I was just reading this section of the article here where they talk about part of the rollout for the City Bag in the beginning. They're talking about basically Kate Moss not being the only poster girl for the City Bag, but she was integral to its inception. So what they said is, after spotting the slouchy bohemian accessory on the runway, Moss requested one from then creative director Nicolas Gasquier, who in turn had to twist the arm of the top dogs, who didn't think it would sell. Just 25 models went into production, but when fashion fans clocked Moss with a vintage looking logoless companion nestled in the crook of her elbow, demand skyrocketed. You could be a Balenciaga girl with that bag, said Gasquiev, the effortless model that became a mainstay in the uniforms of Y2K fashion plates like Nicole Richie, Lindsay Lohan, and the Olsen twins. But I do remember they did send it to Karine Rockfeld. I know they did. Because I remember
What
she
is
had one. Um, I'm trying to think who else like had one back then early where people are just like going crazy. It's
my
mainly
thing
I
is,
can think of like Corinne Rockfeld and Kate Moss mainly.
like, what's to say they didn't give Kate Moss a big bag and
No, no,
nobody
no. They gave it to her. They said that she requested it, so obviously they gave it to her.
no, I mean like a bag. Like, you know what I'm saying? They gave
Oh,
her,
like money. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
they
yeah,
gave
yeah,
her a
yeah,
bag, and
yeah.
then this is just a story that's going out on a press release. Like,
Yeah, but
this is
you know what
and this
brands
is
do also because it's marketing, and obviously when you're behind the scenes of brands, you don't even know what to believe because like a lot of brands do this thing where like they will pay celebrities to like wear like bags in
mm,
certain places where paparazzi they have paparazzi there that they've paid for them to be there, and then they run that picture as the campaign, but people don't think it's a campaign. People just think like it's the celebrity that just came out their car and some paparazzi kind of like caught the image, but it's all planned. That's literally the campaign. So that's how fashion goes. But I think it's smart for them to try hard to bring it back. Of course, now with their rollout, they have like the campaign with Kate Moss, which is very good because Kate Moss is literally associated with the start of it. So to put her in the campaign makes all the sense in the world. They also had a campaign with Mona. Um, I think they had a larger campaign. Let me see if I can get that on the screen. That was something I saw on their website actually, where they had like yeah, so they have Nicole Kidman here. Nicole Kidman at this point is basically one of Demna's muses. Like Nicole Kidman is everywhere. Can't get rid of her when it comes to Balenciaga. Of course, Kate Moss. Um, So let's see what they have a description on their website. It says on April 11th, 2024, Balenciaga reintroduces one of its most iconic product lines, Le City, available in selected stores worldwide and on Balenciaga.com. First launched in 2001, Le City has become synonymous with an era and a lifestyle. Known for its enigmatic, maximalist yet practical approach, over 20 years since its initial debut, the city makes a comeback as a reconstituted icon. Um, so then they're talking about like who's in the campaigns and like all those kind of things. Um, Something interesting that they're trying to do with this new rollout is they're like selling like charms. Like here you can see like the city charm, Eiffel, and they're almost like kind of pushing people to accessorize and customize the bags in that way. They're trying to like encourage it, even though they're selling like these charms for like $650. Goodness gracious, that's crazy.
yeah, like, and these guys, I want to even say like Bella Hadid, if she's wearing a bag, it will sell out
Mm,
because they've that Coach bag on her is going crazy. Like the women on TikTok are moving phenomenal. And there is this addiction to bags that Bella Hadid wears as well. So you can literally look up Bella Hadid bag and it'll come up with a list of generally bags that Bella Hadid wore. So it's one of those. It's sometimes it's like it is an addiction to these women, barely.
Mm.
No.
My
So
bigger question for everyone in the chat and also for you, Dami, do you think that because I think that this bag has been exploding on social media. I don't know how that's translating into sales, but do you think that this will be like because obviously they just brought it back this year, like the main campaign. When did they say? April 11th, 2024. So do you think that in sales, like this will be like one of the hit bags? What do you think?
I I think the it girls like the bag regardless. The
Right.
it girls are always gonna like the bag. Does it mean that they're gonna buy this new one? Not necessarily. I do believe that if enough it girls are wearing the bag though, that is gonna entice the rich people to get one of the new colorways essentially.
Mm,
Because I know someone with the city bag as well.
okay.
So
Is it a
I
vintage one or like the
vintage,
new one?
yes.
Right.
A
Because the
vintage
vintage
city
one
bag.
is those are the main ones that people have.
Yeah. So if we see enough girls like they're saying, "Oh, the Balenciaga City Bag's back," yeah, pull it out the wardrobe, wear it outside, take it to wherever spots you're going to, and that proliferates a little bit by a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, if it's the black, there it does need to be a different colorway though. If they want to really promote the city bag, there should be a colorway that is, addictive, much like the Bottega green was addictive, right? It's not
Hmm.
like they wasn't doing the Intrasiato before. It's just with the green, it exploded.
Yeah. I want to see what colorways they have just out of curiosity.
Yeah, I was
So
just
they've
looking.
got
There is a dusty pink
pink.
there, and there's a
I think
powder.
this pink could go
Mm,
crazy.
yeah. There's a neutral. I don't think we're really in a neutral era still, but the neutral can blow as well, fairly.
Mm.
Mm. Let me check because I was there is. So yeah,
People in the chat are saying obviously the Rodeo bag is like the top seller of Balenciaga right now. I think it was Finn. Finn, do you want to hop on and give your insight? Because Finn always has good insight when it comes to things like this. Um, but yeah, a lot of people are saying they don't think it's going to catch on as much as the other bags.
as much as mm,
What I will say though about the city bag is in the sense of like vintage, like secondhand, this bag has always been big. Like it's not even though like now it's big on social media, I think because of like the push. But I've always known friends who have always wanted this bag and they've been like saving up for it on like the real or like something like that.
yeah,
To get like the vintage ones.
yeah. The vintage ones were even going for an arm and a leg before, so I can only imagine
Oh
now what
yeah,
they go
super
for.
expensive. All this is going to do is make the vintage ones less
Mm.
valuable, obviously, because now you can just buy it on the website. Um,
Here's my thing though. What size is the strap for this bag, right? And
mm,
then you know, people are really into messenger bags now. Like shout out to Bella Hadid again. She's really and then there's the Coach bag, right? That new big Coach shoulder bag, the Brooklyn shoulder bag, right? And then the Balenciaga Genevieve. What's another tote? Like, cause there's a couple totes that are floating out there, as well
yeah,
as like the Bottega Veneta hot large bag as well. So there's a few bags that are messenger bag related slash tote related. So when it comes to the Balenciaga City Bag, we have to think, what's the hardware like? How long is the strap? Because we're not in a small strap era right now, and Demna doesn't have the influence to change all of these women into wearing no straps anymore. When everybody's been
mhm,
wearing straps for the past like couple years and everything like that. So how long is the strap? What's the hardware like? Is it fun to feel and hold? and what type of levers are they using, right? Because there's people that love real leather, authentic leather, the sheepskin OG leather, but then there's some people that are gonna absolutely despise the
Mm,
leather choices, like having rolled leather choices. So you have to find an alternative and just a supple leather, faux leather, I should say, plastic bag essentially. And he's
yeah.
been slated for having plastic everything. So now each bag is gonna be plastic. So
That's
it's
true.
yeah, should be
I
it's an
wanted to the reason
Shout
why I have this show, this is Balenciaga Spring Summer 24. They actually had a lot of bags with the charm. So they've been kind of pushing this idea for a long time, on like accessorizing your bags that way. But they also had like the city bags with all the different charms in this collection. Hello, Micah.
Oh, am I here?
Yeah, you're here. You're on the screen.
Oh,
You're
wait.
live.
1 second. Let me finish this biscuit. I'll mute my
Yo,
mic.
Al, it's been
Let
so
me let
long.
me mute his
I
mic
haven't seen
quickly.
you on Twitter or IG, Al. So yeah, you need to hit me up. But did you see Diane? Shout out to Diane, the
Yeah, shout
OG,
out to Dan.
the mentor.
Dangling charms will be the ASMR of 2025.
Drums are really big.
ASMR.
People have them on their
Balenciaga
Crocs,
charms.
right? So
Yeah,
yeah.
the Crocs charms thing is like that's definitely a thing. Ben, you were saying that the Rodeo bag is one of the best sellers at Balenciaga right now. I wanted to get your insight on that because you would know more than me about the bag.
Yeah, so I was down New Bond today. Yeah, so I went into the New Bond store and I was like, oh, I'm gonna look at the bags, and they had no rodeos left except for one color.
Is that because they don't have? Because brands
And they
sometimes
have
do this fake scarcity thing where it's like, oh, you
scarcity
need to
thing.
go to you need to go to the other store. We don't have any in stock, just to kind of add to the allure of like a brand being exclusive and hard to get. Like sometimes brands do that, but if like genuinely they had none left, that's crazy.
See, the
I
thing is, right, I've got a problem with, like, I agree with that, but then Balenciaga's strategy is then like every window is covered in city bags.
Right.
And I was like, okay, cool, like blah blah blah. I was like, how are they selling? And they were like, well, they're on every wall. And I kind of took it as it's not selling. And I know from a fact that Dover Street then they didn't sell at all. So
Yeah.
they took the city bags out of Dover Street.
Damn.
And they've kept the Rodeos in Dover Street. Yeah.
And that's what I said earlier, saying that it's exploding on social media, but like when it comes to sales, that's always a different thing. That's why I was asking the question, like, do people think it's going to translate into actual sales figures, or is it just like they're trying to push it, and that's why obviously people on social media are responding, but will it have that trickle effect into the actual people's pockets?
In general, every luxury store was fucking dead. And it was 2-3 o'clock on a Sunday. And everybody was like, we've had the deadest day. I don't know if that's just like an exception to the rule, but people are saying like New Bond has completely died as in terms of a street for shopping.
Yeah, this is a post-pandemic thing for sure.
It's also one of those post getting discount. What's the word? Post tax free.
Yeah. So
Oh yeah, that's true.
the Rodeo bag isn't necessarily it's not my favorite bag, but Balenciaga. I'll say
I
that.
just think it's a bit boring, but I get it. It's like I get it.
If you know, you know.
It's half the price of the Kelly, though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why I get it.
It don't seem fun, but listen, it's not about me. I do think charms will be a cool thing. There's a lot of girls there's this trend on TikTok where it's like
This YouTube channel runs on your support. If you want to support the channel, you can subscribe to my Patreon. You'll gain access to exclusive content that includes everything from my Patreon podcast, where I give a behind the scenes insight into the fashion industry, as well as a fashion book club where I review my favorite fashion books. You can also check out my fashion ebook, which highlights the best fashion journalists to follow, definitions of common fashion terminology, and how to determine what a good source of fashion information is. The links to everything are in the description below.